So there was something. It was a NASCAR race, I guess, last week. Yeah. I'm DJ Flook.
Eric Richardson.
The Busch clash at the Coliseum. Does that really even count as a race? Like,
It was certainly a clash.
I mean, there were, Kyle Busch, who, by the way, was sentenced to 3.5 years in Mexican prison today. Did you see that story?
Yeah, it's
uh,
don't take a handgun to another country. You
Yeah,
should learn this by now.
he forgot his legally permitted in the US concealed carry permit or handgun was left in his bag when he went on vacation to Mexico, and they found it in security and paid a fine and left, and they went ahead and had the trial without him, and he was sentenced to 3.5 years in jail in Mexico. Yeah.
We'll see what happens there, but
Anyway, but yeah, odds, well, he won't be going back to Mexico anytime soon, it sounds like, but
no, probably not.
but yeah, he was pretty upset at Joey Logano. They were in the booth together, and then yeah, he dumped him, and yeah, it got messy. But I mean,
Yeah, yells at him, don't be friendly like that, and then do that on track. Then he called
it's
him two-faced or something.
yeah, something to that extent. There's a reel on the NASCAR Instagram about it, or
Oh, and how
Fox
about
NASCAR, one of those two.
Ross Chastain and Denny Hamlin tangling again?
A magnet, that the magnet between those two cars, I don't get it. I don't understand how drivers seem to like when you have feuding drivers, they always seem to find a way to come together.
They really do.
It just it never like every year, like it always seems like somebody has a repeating feud over and over, and they just seem to find a way to bump into each other along
Just
the
like
track.
our ARCA season of Wednesday Night Dash, the 41 and 84
And the
and the
84
truck
always
season.
coming. They were coming together every single race, it seemed
I
like, and
think
it
it
just
was.
every single race the two of them came together. But anyway, I mean, this is the
Was it?
second.
It was a clash, but was it a race? I mean, 14 caution flags, I think it was.
Honestly, it was from a television perspective, in my perspective, it was unwatchable. I got up and left the room multiple times, but I shout out to our friend Bernard Pollard.
Yeah, he was there.
He made a cameo pre-race on TV. They were talking to him, and they put up this really cool video about work he's doing with Ally Financial or Ally Bank. Um, Cool stuff that he's doing. So good for him. He's planning on being in Phoenix here in March, so I'm hoping I'll get a chance to finally meet him in person, even though we've been
You've been
texting and
chatting.
trading and racing together for a couple years now. So
Yeah,
it's looking forward to finally getting a chance to meet him in person.
yeah, that'll be cool.
But otherwise, like they're talking about like if the auto club remodel, which that's a whole other thing I have a lot of issues with. Um, if the auto club renovations to turn that into the weirdest looking short track you've ever seen aren't done in time, that they could do the Coliseum as a points race in the future. It's like,
No,
no, please,
please, drivers,
no,
boycott that. No.
no. Like, I
So, what
like,
was actually worse, though? Was it the race or the halftime show?
I didn't. I was so in and out. Like I watched the start of it. I watched some of the pre-race festivities, and I saw the end, and I'm just like, I didn't even see it. I
Yeah, I didn't pay
it
attention.
it
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 was
felt
bad.
it felt. I mean, that whole like they're trying to make NASCAR into this whole Hollywood thing with this, and you want to get that demographic in that market,
No, no, no.
but like it just seems so out of place. It's like, yes, NASCAR is far from the southern, southeastern good old boy redneck club stereotype that it was, but it's like it just
It's
here's a
definitely not
NASCAR.
that anymore, but you got to still know where your fan base is.
Yeah, and it's just like, don't get me wrong, I love Cypress Hill. Be Real is awesome,
I have
but
actually seen them in concert.
really, I have
Yes.
never. Man, when did you see them?
Mile High Music Festival. You'll remember him. Steven came out to Colorado to watch.
Oh man, that's
We were out there
hilarious.
for 2 days. So yes, I
But
have seen Cypress Hill.
I love Cypress Hill, but that just felt so out of place. Like, yeah, it just felt so out of place. And then Joel McHale introducing the drivers as his like promo for his new Fox show on Fox. It just it just was so forced. But I'm sure there a lot of money was made.
Oh, I'm sure.
A lot of
Nobody
money
does
was
anything
made.
now
It was
without money.
on paper, like you can see why this would be a good idea, but frankly it sucks. Like I hated it. I don't. If they do it again next year, I may not. I probably won't even watch it because it's just like
Yeah, I was last year. I
boring.
watched him like this is awful. So I'll watch it again this year. They've been in the cars now for a year. They're figuring some things out.
You've been on this track before now. It's just no.
No,
Let's go
if
back to the like with this, the Busch Clash previously was Daytona, and they had the Gatorade duels and everything like that.
we got the duel still coming up here on the
Yeah,
16th.
yeah, like they had that whole week with the Clash, the duels, the race. Like that was awesome. I love that. Like turning that Daytona into a whole like week plus
It was
spectacle.
fun, just like the
It's
month of
yeah,
May. It's
yeah.
start of race season
And now
at
it's
Speed Week
like,
at Daytona.
but we got to talk about this probably closer to time. But Auto Club Speedway, I love Auto Club Speedway. It's like, okay, Fontana is kind of a odd location for a track, and there's been, unfortunately, Greg Moore died there back in the late 90s, in the early days of the track. Um, but last year it produced one of the best races on the calendar, and they're gonna go and rip the place up and make it into this funky looking short track. Like, awful. I just NASCAR, you're 0 for
That's
2,
a
man.
good track.
And the problem too is with it being on the West Coast, you can't run a night race out there.
Too late for out east.
Yeah, because it's like no one's gonna stay up and watch a race that starts at like 10 p.m. on a Saturday night. I mean, maybe they would, but
I don't
you
know.
have
I
to run
might.
it during the day. I mean, it stinks, but I mean, these business guys,
They probably know
allegedly
more than we do.
they know
Maybe.
what I mean. They see the data. Like, I don't not sure they make the best decisions with the data they have, but they at least they know the demographics. But
And we got the Blue Green Vacation Duels number 1 and 2
you know,
at 7 and 9 p.m. on Thursday the 16th.
you always laugh, and I have to mention this because I think you're gonna know what I'm gonna say here after I preface this. But every so often there is a NASCAR race in one of the series where the sponsor of the race or the race name makes you just kind of like, what? And if you have the schedule in front of you, take a look at what the Xfinity race at Daytona this year is called.
I have the NASCAR. There's been so many terrible names.
This might I feel like this has been the name of it before. I'm drawing a blank. Yeah, I think you just found it, didn't you?
Beef. It's what's for dinner.
The beef, it's what's for dinner in like the 300 or something.
I feel like that's been a race name
Yeah,
somewhere at some
yeah,
point.
I feel like I remember that happening before, but like, really,
It actually pops up here. Hurley and NASCAR collaborate to launch line of beach and surf apparel.
I did see that. That's also
This 2 weeks ago.
the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, aka Beef. It's what's for dinner. So You've seen the beef it's what's for dinner commercials that
Oh
they
yeah.
yeah, they've been on for like 30 years now. And they play the hoedown. It's called Hoedown is the segment of the song. By it's Aaron Copland is the composer. And it's like, when you hear a song and it's associated with something, especially when it's like a classical piece, we'll say classical in this case, and it's associated with something for so long, you can't hear it anymore without associating it. So like, but like you hear his hoedown, which was a famous piece that was not written for the Beef Council. They basically have stolen this, and but now you hear that and you're like, beef, it's what's for dinner.
I like how at the top of the page they have the NASCAR street race weekend, like nothing you've ever seen.
And hopefully
Never see
see
again.
again.
Then on their webpage, NASCAR.com, the race name that they have right now is NASCAR Cup Series race at Chicago. Let's do a huge event and have nothing more
No sponsor
bland.
at all. Yeah. I'm looking at the schedules this year for, like, usually in the truck or Xfinity, you see like a really goofy sponsor. And the truck race in Atlanta in March is the Freight 208, and it's spelled FR and the number 8.
Are they
Dead
trying
on,
to take our race team name?
I guess.
Far?
Dead on Tools 200, the SpeedyCash.com 220 at Texas Motor Speedway, the North Carolina Education Lottery 200. Wait, am I?
Did you get the Martinsville? Call 811 before you dig 250. Powered by call811.com.
It's like
Xfinity, call 811. There's your plug on Garage Talk.
Public service. Yeah, so the Freight 208, Speedy Cash, the truck race is just the Craftsman Truck Series race at Martinsville and Darlington and North Wilkesboro. We should contact NASCAR and be like, hey, so this Martinsville race in April, you don't have a sponsor for. How much should Title sponsor that event?
All right, so it can't be too bad.
It can't be that bad for the trucks.
At Xfinity, the Texas race, Andy's Frozen Custard 300.
Yeah, they did that at Texas last year, and it's just like, oh yes, frozen custard, Texas summer. Okay, yeah, it's hot as crap out there. Yeah, they don't have a lot of sponsors to these truck races so far. The Craftsman Truck Series race at Milwaukee, Darlington, North Wilkesboro. I said Martinsville already. Talladega is just the Talladega 250.
Yeah, can we reach out and just see the FR Racing 200? Like, we'll plug you. We'll run a special race. And
the Las Vegas race for Xfinity is the Alsco Uniforms 300. The United Rentals 200 at Phoenix Raceway. I'll be in attendance for that. and your call 811.
Was it August 6th? I will hopefully be in attendance at the Firekeepers Casino 400.
That's been that sponsor for a few years now.
Firekeepers does a lot here in Southern Michigan. It's a big organization.
Ag Pro 300, the A Game 200 from Dover. And then another Alsco Uniforms 300. There's the Alsco Uniforms 300 at Las Vegas, and then the Alsco Uniforms at Charlotte in May. How does that work? Pacific Auto Office Automation 147 at Portland International. The Xfinity race at Chicago. Hey, there's the Alsco Uniforms 250. There are three Alsco uniform races so far in the schedule in Xfinity this year. My favorite, the Cran 200 at New Hampshire. Apparently, Cran is the name of a company. Road America is the Henry 180. What are we just naming it after like things and people now. There we go. The Wawa 250 at Daytona. That is one I want a shirt from. Hey, there's another one. Allsco Uniforms 302 from Las Vegas. And the Xfinity race at Phoenix, the championship weekend, doesn't have a name. Come on, NASCAR. You got to step it up. Like, what is that all about?
I'm looking to try to see if I can find out how much it would be to sponsor a race. I probably don't want to know, but
You know what? Although, okay, so maybe NASCAR, IndyCar, that's a little too above our price threshold. But we go find out one of these like local tracks or like Kokomo Speedway. Let's go to Kokomo Speedway, for example, our hometown track, our actual hometown track. And be like, hey, what's one like random race you don't have a sponsorship for? Because it can't be that much. You got this random Midwestern dirt track with a pretty extensive history, but what would it be to sponsor the little dirt track race or Gas City Speedway or something like that? One of those little tracks in Indiana. That's that. I guess we got some homework to do.
everything on their schedule for 2023 is titled right now. Surely there's something, or even just a singular race.
Oh, the New Hampshire Xfinity race is the Cran 301, or the Cup race. I thought M&M was getting out of NASCAR.
They were just tired of Kyle Busch.
Is that because the Pocono race is the M&M's Fan Appreciation 400, which is weird because like Mars and M&M that's like 2 hours from Hershey. That's probably as much a dig in Hershey as it is anything for
probably.
I don't know. I mean, it's there's really not too terribly much different. I mean, obviously the North Wilkesboro is the big change for this year. Otherwise, I mean, the schedule's relatively the same.
Yeah, nothing
Is the Cup
dramatic.
Series? Is the Cup Series going to Texas this year with the All-Star race being moved?
I believe so. I forget which. And that's Coda.
Yeah, the round of 12 in end of September. It's a playoff race. When's Talladega this year?
October 1st is the second one, and it should be April 23rd.
Hey, happy birthday to you. There you go.
I asked if I could go, and then I was told no.
This whole like
I've been to that race once.
Yes, you have. We've talked about that before.
I really want to go back to the Dover race at the. It used to be at the beginning of June. Yes, beginning of June, right after school got out.
I'm slowly like getting into the market for a new car, and I've been. I said like, I'm not ready to move into the electric world yet. I don't want an SUV. I want a car. I want a car. Like, I don't want an SUV. I don't want a truck. I want a car. And with all these companies backing out of making cars because, apparently nobody wants sedans anymore, it really limits your options. Like, unless you go buy a high-end luxury car, which I most certainly will not be buying, it's like, okay, you got your choice of like a Toyota Camry, a couple Volkswagens, a couple Hondas, like Chevy Malibu, and maybe a random Subaru, and that's basically it. Until you get into that much higher, like, oh, you want to go buy a Lexus, you want to buy a Volvo, you want to buy a Mercedes. No, I don't want to spend that amount of money on a car.
Yeah, when I need a car, I'm going get the Chevy Blazer. I like the new ones.
Actually, I very briefly looked at a Ford Bronco.
I had a Trailblazer a while back, and I like that car.
Arrested Development had one of the best jokes I've ever seen regarding that whole Ford Bronco and everything. And so George Sr. had escaped from jail and he's undercover trying to get a car. And he's at a Ford dealership and he's like, oh, you guys still make the Bronco? And like, no, we Ford, we got rid of the Bronco because we didn't want to have that fugitive on the run. That the brand was tarnished because the fugitive on the run. And they said, here's the replacement, the Escape.
If you like pina coladas.
Yes. Wasn't expecting a Rupert Holmes reference tonight, but here we are. This wasn't even
Jimmy Buffett.
wasn't even on this wasn't on the agenda. Schedule wasn't on the agenda, but Daytona's coming up here in a couple weeks. Also in a couple of weeks, the Chicago Street Race is here for us.
Yeah, coming off of the Pocono debacle. Well,
I am still having problems getting up to speed, and I still do not know why. I'm gonna play with my curve settings on my throttle this weekend in hopes that I can figure out why I get up to speed so slow. It just doesn't. But I fall behind, and then I made a mistake, and the next thing I know, I'm like 6 seconds down and just keep drifting back. So I was pretty much a non-factor the entire time.
hey, still beat me.
Sheer dumb luck. Hunter Hughes pulled a move where we weren't sure what he was doing at the time, and then I realized what he was doing. He we staged caution at lap 20. He went in and pit at lap 18 and got out just ahead of the lead pack, stayed on the lead lap, and then when everybody went into pit, he stayed out and got a couple of bonus points. And I mean, he drifted back in the second half of the race, but yeah,
Yeah, I think he ended up finishing sixth. I was watching the broadcast of the race the following day, and he squeaked out in front of the pace car. He just got on track right as it was coming on.
Yeah, he just barely beat it, but good move. Got a bonus point out of it.
Now, just to be clear, I was going to feel really bad because I actually crashed twice in that race.
Yeah, I saw the second one. I saw the smoke.
The second one may have just been an intentional crash. I already caught the wall. I had nothing to lose. I knew you were pretty far back, and I'm just gonna have fun with this one.
Yeah, I saw. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Stay off. And,
yeah, I got it back onto the grass, and
I'm like, well, bad night for us. It's never good to finish in the bottom two, but what are the odds that somebody finishes the Chicago Street Race all 25 laps with a 0 incident count?
I think a couple drivers will get it.
I don't think so. I think minimum 2x. Everyone's gonna have a 2x at some point.
It'll be fun to set the money line on the meatballs that are going to be dished out.
The one thing I haven't done is fuel calculation yet.
Looks to be about 33 to 38 laps.
So the question is, how are your tires going to hold up?
Especially on that course.
There
is a lot of braking and a lot of tight turns.
I mean, I wasn't sure about fuel, but I think I was planning. I mean, I'm not trying to, not giving strategy away yet, but I was thinking I was probably going to stop for tires, maybe midway.
Yeah, maybe. Can we run 10 laps and not hit anything?
This is I think it's going to be as much how far do I make it without just toasting the car.
Wasn't it Bryant and me on their podcast? They put the question out there.
Yes,
Is this going to be a clean race?
yes, they had a yes, Brian and me and the merch booth will be sponsoring the event in 2 weeks. Check them out. But they had questions for the show, and I asked the question, do any of the cars make it through the Chicago street race in 2 weeks? And I posted it too late for them to answer it on the podcast, but they answered it in their Instagram story, and they said like absolutely not. And I I tend to agree with them. You look at that course and it's just like, you look at just like the top level of it and you're like, that shouldn't be that bad. And then you get out there and you're like, that's bad.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Luckily, there is a week and a half now until you run.
Yeah, we're gonna do
practice time.
Get some practice in and see how that goes.
And next Wednesday, it's gonna be an official practice session.
Yeah, I'm putting up I'm just opening a 3-hour window and just say hop in and we'll I'll see you in there at some point during the night and see how it goes. But anyway, before we wrap up tonight, for those watching, Eric has got some merch.
Yeah, check it out. We got the Garage Talk t-shirts now.
Yeah, that's those are available over on the FR Racing store at frracingonline.com. So check that out. We got all kinds of Garage Talk merchandise, and we got Wednesday Night Dash merchandise. We got our own merchandise, and we need to start thinking about the novelty shirt world. There's a lot that we could do with that, and we just really haven't put any time into that. But with all we're doing, and the hat too, of course, the classic FR Racing Adidas golf cap also for sale at frracingonline.com. So I think that should about do it for this week. I don't think we're gonna have a show next week. Off week. I think you're traveling part of the week, so probably taking the week off. So we'll be back after the Chicago street race.
Recap Chicago Street and the Daytona 500.
Yes, we will be able to recap Daytona.
And before long, start previewing some Formula One and IndyCar.
By that time, we should see almost all of the Formula One cars for the year.
See, next one's tomorrow.
Yeah, I think so. I think Mercedes is the 15th. Yeah, there's a couple coming up here. And then you have Red Bull, or it's like, what did you change from last year?
I got launch dates right here. The next one will be AlphaTauri tomorrow.
Tomorrow being
tomorrow.
Yesterday,
I'm off on my
today. It was today. It was earlier today.
I am so far off on my days. Like you could tell me today's Tuesday, and be like, you're probably right. I don't even know what end is up. So it's a miracle I made Wednesday Night Dash on Wednesday.
Well, and Tyler, like, he failed his power supply on his PC, and he's like messaged us like an hour and a half before. He's like, yeah, I probably won't be there tonight because my PC crapped out on me. And then we sign into the session, and he's in there. I'm like, what? I thought your PC died. And he's like, yeah, my power supply died. I had a backup. I got the backup in, and the backup wasn't working. And then I realized, there was a on-off switch on the power supply. I forgot to turn the on-off switch on the backup on, and like, oh, duh. And then, the backup supply worked for him. So he got, and then he goes in and wins the race. So
on the 13th, we got Aston Martin and McLaren. The 14th is Ferrari. The 15th is Mercedes. And we have Alpine on the 16th.
I still like the Williams with the Duracell battery at the top. I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, best thing so far.
That's been my favorite. It almost is like, wow, Williams is almost
they did something
like
right.
It almost looks like a real race car.
Haas has a good one so far.
Red Bull. Haas is a good looking ride this year.
Red Bull, I think it's the exact same thing as 20 years ago now.
Hey, well, with Red Bull, it's like You know what?
Hey,
We've
if
won
it
the
works,
last
it
two.
works.
We've won the last 2 years. And we won. It was pretty dominant last year. So, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I mean, unless you're, breaking the rules for the cost caps and everything, but that's, another story. Oh, I think we're ready to close this one out. frracingonline.com at frracingonline, and maybe I can get my Twitch stream to work. I'll probably be up this weekend at some point. Try to figure out why my Twitch stream was only broadcasting at 3 frames per second. Don't understand that.
Yeah, tough to watch on that.
Nope, not doing that. So we'll get that figured out this weekend, and hopefully, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.